Hey guys, it's Kat. Merry Christmas! So, for this video, I wanted to tell you guys a story. Once upon a time, in a little itty-bitty country over by the Mediterranean, there was a girl named Mary. She was maybe 14, 15 years old, and in her culture, that was about marrying age. So she was engaged to this nice guy. And then, one day, somebody appeared in her house. She was probably doing chores, and just all of a sudden, poof, there is this person who is quite obviously an angel. An angel just appeared in her living room. I would be freaking out. And Mary was freaking out. So the angel said, "Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Don't be scared. I just have news for you. God wanted me to tell you that you're going to have a kid." And Mary was just like, I had the talk with my parents. I know how this is supposed to work. I'm a good kid. I haven't done any of the stuff that should lead up to having a kid. Please explain. I don't get this. And the angel said, God, this is gonna be God's kid. Child. Probably should be a bit more formal than kid. This is gonna be God's child. And he would like you to do this. And but that's not how this works. I don't understand. This should be impossible. And that's where we get that lovely phrase of nothing is impossible with God. And Mary, in probably what was one of the bravest things ever, said, okay, sure, I'll do it. Now you gotta understand, in Mary's culture, this was a huge deal. She was not married yet. And everybody knew it. Small town. Everybody knew everybody. People knew that Mary wasn't married yet. Mary wasn't married. But people knew, and in her culture, having a kid outside of marriage was... people could get stoned for this. So, Mary's soon-to-be husband, his name is Joseph, he finds out a little ways down the road that Mary is pregnant, and he has a bit of a freak-out moment because, oh my goodness, I am engaged to this girl, and I know that we haven't done the thing that usually leads to having a kid, so it isn't mine. And he could have had her killed for this. But Joseph was like, no, I'm not gonna go there. I'm gonna divorce her quietly and sweep it under the rug and pretend it never happened. And then one night he goes to sleep and he has a dream. And it's an angel. And he said, shush. And the angel said, Joseph, Joseph, listen, no. This is a very, very, very special baby that Mary is going to have. This is going to be God's son. Don't divorce her. She did not do anything inappropriate. This is okay. So you need to marry this girl, and she's gonna have a son, and you need to name him Jesus, okay? Okay, good talk. So they were married, and about, well, I don't know how much longer, but there was a census. Now, this country where Mary lived was under the control of this big empire, and emperor of the big empire, said everybody needs to go to their hometown so I know exactly how many people I am in control of, because I need to feel important. So everybody went and scattered, and Joseph and Mary both went to Joseph's hometown of Bethlehem. And when they got there, it was super duper crowded. There were so many people there. They went to place after place after place trying to find somewhere where they could stay, because Mary was due to have this baby any day now. So, yeah, you kind of don't want to be... You don't want a 9-month pregnant lady not having anywhere to spend the night. So, but they keep getting rejected because there's no space. Until eventually this one guy says, okay, I don't have room in my inn, but I do have a barn outside. If you really have nowhere else to stay, you can stay there. I'm sorry, that's the best I can do, but I have a barn, you can stay there. And at this point, Mary and Joseph are so desperate that they're like, okay, we'll stay in the barn, thank you. Ever been in a barn? Barns are messy and smelly, and there's animals, and no matter how much you try to keep it clean, barns are pretty nasty. And while they're staying in this barn, Mary has to have her baby. She goes into labor in a barn. I don't know about you, but that's the last place I would want to have a baby. A hospital sounds nice, where there's people who know what they're doing. But nope. Barn. And when Mary has this baby, this is supposed to be God's son. And he's born in a barn. And they wrap him in some rags they have and put him in the feeding trough for the animals. Can you imagine? I mean, I'll come back to that point at the end, but oh boy. Now, way out in the fields, there are some shepherds, and they're watching their sheep to make sure they don't wander off during the night. When all of a sudden, bright light! More angels! And the shepherds are pretty freaking terrified. There are no electric lights or anything at this point in time, so it's nighttime, and all of a sudden it looks like daytime? Where is all this light coming from? Oh my goodness, there's angels. Panic. And the angels, again, have to say, hey, guys, calm down. It's okay. We're just here bringing news. We want to tell you that the Messiah has been born, and it's good news of great joy for all people. Okay, so Bethlehem, little the town of David. You need to go there, and you're going to find a barn. And inside that barn, there's going to be a baby in a manger. Feeding trough. But there's going to be a baby, and he's going to be wrapped in cloths and in this manger. And you need to go find him, because this is the most important baby ever. So, and then all of a sudden, there are so many angels, and they're all singing praises to God, glory to God in the highest. And then they all leave, and the shepherds look at each other and say, we need to go find this kid. So they all pack up their stuff and head to Bethlehem. And they find this teenager in a barn with her newborn son in a feeding trough. And the first people the angels tell are the shepherds. Now, everybody knows that story. Everybody. knows that story. If you've lived through Christmas, but we know the sanitized version. We don't get the Mary was maybe 15 years old and could get stoned for this, and we don't get a description of the barn where they were. Technically, it's a stable, but same thing. And I don't think we ever really get the impact of this is God coming down to live with people, and that is insane enough. Okay, so imagine slugs. Okay? Picture a slug. Now imagine you loved these slugs. All these slugs, and the slugs didn't even like to acknowledge your existence, but you love these slugs, and you see them going off in a bad direction, so you become a slug, and you live among the slugs, and you try to teach the slugs how to live properly, and because of that, the slugs kill you. Imagine that. Now multiply that level of bringing yourself down to down to the level of slugs, and multiply that by a couple thousand, and that's what it was like for Jesus, coming down, being God, and coming down to earth, and being a human being. And he could have come as a king. Well, he is a king, but he could have appeared as a king. But he didn't. He chose to come down as a baby. He chose to be born. And if that isn't bad enough, he chose a nobody little teenage girl to be his earthly mother. And he chose to be born in a barn. He could have been born in a palace, but he didn't. And he chose to tell the shepherds first. Every nativity set, well, not everyone, but most nativity sets I have seen have the wise men in it. Because that's part of this, that's tacked on to the end of the story, is, the wise men followed the star and came with all this gold and frankincense and myrrh, which is really precious, expensive spices that you give to a king. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen right away. That could, as near as we can figure, this was at least a year later that these wise men showed up. So right off the bat, it wasn't wise men and kings giving these expensive gifts. It was shepherds. And that tells you what kind of God he is. He chose about the most humble way to be born that exists. And that's just incredible. So just think about that this Christmas. And the presents are fun too, but just keep that in mind. What really is the point of this? Bye, guys.